Okay, how are we doing? So another episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. Today we have a really cool preview for you today of the Tusenö Shellback, which was founded back in 2015. The brand, anyway, out of Sweden. And they have some pretty exciting watches with their own design language that actually have really great specifications at an extremely fair price. And I think, they go out of their way to make sure that they want to deliver well above the expectations. And I have to say, dealing with this pre-production prototype, I think they definitely delivered well above the expectations. So this will be a little bit of more of a sneak preview versus a full-on review. I do hope to have the full-on production model when ready, similarly spec'd to this one right here in terms of the date window, the blue combination, all that. Really the main difference is going to be the end link in terms of visually that will be different, but other than that it should be pretty similar to what you see before you here. So a little bit about this type of watch. You consider a dive watch, some key common characteristics and design language. When you're looking for a dive watch, of course, you're going to want water resistance, typically through some type of screw down crown. You're going to want something that's tough, legible with a dive time bezel, and a diver's extension is always nice if on bracelet. This is the Shellback blue diver, and it is a prototype, and it's pretty much self-proclaimed their best watch to date. It's a blend of classic yet original design cues, all combined into a truly modern and fully loaded package. The pre-order will be included on the blue NATO and rubber tropic strap, as you can see here, but I believe that pre-order window is probably already closed by the time that this video is being released. So it was available for $649, but now goes for $749. So I think it's still absolutely a value at that. Honestly, when I picked this thing up, it felt like something that should cost more, at least. For me anyway, guys, and I had a lot of cool watches. I feel like they could, if they really wanted to, they could pursue, $1,000 for something like this, and it's that good. And that's not just because it comes in this great presentation watch roll that you see here, and it's not because it comes with all these extra accessories, which it does, but that tropic rubber strap is super soft, which I'm looking forward to sharing with you guys. But I think just because of the finishing, the design language, really the one variable is going to be the movement here. It is a Swiss movement, but just a lesser known one, being that it's actually the Ronda R150, which I don't have too much experience with. I actually had my first experience with it actually in another video review for another brand, and it worked really well. This one's been working really well as well, but I don't have any long-term experience with it, so hopefully with the production model approaching, I'll have some long-term feedback from that standpoint. But yeah, I dig this thing a lot, so let's go ahead, zoom the camera out, get this piece in hand, and take a closer look. All right, guys, as you can see, very cool, from the packaging wise, as you can see, very nicely done. You get the nice lettering. I do enjoy the logo. I think it's very, very handsome. Flat bottom, so it's not going to roll away. And yeah, this is a really nice design. Guys, this freaking tropic strap is outstanding. It just, I haven't gotten like tons of experience with the actual Tropic brand Tropics, but if this is what they feel like, oh man, I've been missing out, because this is the nicest, softest, most supple Tropic style strap I've ever handled. This thing's glorious. So did want to share that with you. In terms of the NATO, pretty standard, no sliding keepers or anything like that. Tubular nylon does the job, but nothing to write home about. But in terms of writing home, goodness, speaking of home, more like home run. This thing is amazing, guys. Check this out. Let's just take a look at it real quick. Oh, it's a little bit of little dust on there, but look at the way this dial transitions in light. Look at that. that vertical brushing. You can go from almost having like a two-tone watch with a bright blue dial and kind of a darker navy effect on the bezel insert, to just like almost the opposite way, which is a dial that almost renders completely black with a dark blue bezel that is now popping. So man, this thing's cool. I'd say the only worry is that, like, from a photography standpoint, this might not always render as like it matches with the bezel insert, but I will assure you, in real life, this thing's pretty stunning. So let's go ahead, take it off the little pillow here, and get into some of the details. Now, this is the Shellback. This is going for $749. It's a 40mm watch with a 13mm height. It has 47mm lug to lug. It's made out of 316L stainless steel. It's fully brushed and polished, and the polished accents on here are pretty glorious, guys. Look at that sharp bevel on that edge. Look at that signed crown. Deep stamped case back, really beautiful. Then you get this very nicely done. You guys have seen these ratcheting clasps everywhere, so the fact is it's really well finished. Let me give it a quick little wipe for you guys, and you can see really beautifully done, very nicely signed. Of course, you're going to get all the bevels on bevels for the fully articulated bracelets. Really gorgeous. And then screw in links, so it's all solid, everything. You even get quick release spring bars here, although the production unit will actually be using female end links versus the male end links. So instead of it protruding out, it'll basically be a cutout, and then there'll be kind of a middle link there, which I think is going to be a really lovely ad, because sometimes these types of male end links seem to elongate the case, and I think because of the design on those lugs, it does make it seem a little bit longer than it really needs to be aesthetically. Now, in terms of this beautiful crystal here, it's a double dome sapphire with inner AR coating, and you can see it does an amazing job even at really harsh angles. Very, very crisp and viewable, really. Not a lot of distortion, just very, very nice. And you can see that blue is just playing. Now, this bezel insert is ceramic, and it does have this nice lume pip here. You can see beautiful coin edge, bezel edge there, really nice. Man, this thing's gorgeous. So let's go ahead and get the action going. Ooh, yeah. Very precise. Reminds me a bit of Oris, where it's notchy, but it's still, it's notchy, but it's like a precise notchiness there. Let me just make sure I get my fingerprints off this bad boy. It's a little warm, so I'm gonna try to forego the gloves, just so I can really just better explain how beautiful this thing is actually on the skin when it comes into contact. So 120 clicks, unidirectional. You do get this nicely done signed crown. You get a cool kind of stamped debossed case back, which looks great. It has the automatic Ronda R150 in there. This thing's nice, dude. You get that brushed blue sandwich dial, which is just absolutely excellent. BGW9 Swiss Super Luminova. You're getting 20 atmospheres of water resistance, or 200 meters. 20mm lug width, tapering, flat brush, multi-link, high polished bevels there, tapers from 20 down to 18. I will say that maybe 20 to 16 might have been a little bit nicer, so then they could have shrunk the width on the clasp itself. But not bad at all. I mean, that's just like if I was gonna get really, really picky, I might say, hey, I mean, let's just see what it looks like with a little bit more of a dramatic taper. But I think it's still really well balanced as is. That's more of a kind of personal ask on my side in terms of what I like within my style. So it does taper down to 18 millimeters, which is, you know, it's good enough, but it would be nice to see something a little bit more dramatic, just so it could add that extra touch of refinement. And yeah, you got a 20 millimeter ratcheting push button clasp there, so very nice and easy from that standpoint. Look, still has the plastic under that fold. And yeah, I'm really digging this one, guys. I'm looking forward to the production unit coming out, because this thing is super impressive. So with that, let's go ahead, get it on the wrists, and let you know how it wears. All right, guys, as you can see on my 7¼ inch wrist, this thing wears beautifully. It's a 40 millimeter diver, and it wears like it. It just hits that sweet spot. The lug width being 47 millimeters. You know, it's a little longer on the tooth there, but I think it's exaggerated by that male end link, and once they swap it out to the female, this thing is really just going to be completely dialed in. Even if you get up close, here's some lens distortion. It's going to make the watch appear a lot bigger, but you get a little bit more arm in there. You get some perspective. You can see that this thing actually looks really, really nice, really well proportioned. The light just glides off of it. Look at the way it rolls and where it catches and holds the light really beautifully. You know, honestly, still pretty flabbergasted. This thing's only $749. In terms of the fit and finish, it does, you know, really approach kind of Helios and their Fairwind in terms of the way this thing feels. It's just that good. So you guys know those watches go pretty fast. So if these catch on, which I don't see why they wouldn't. I mean, it's not a vintage inspired or a retro style at all. It's a classic style. It's a timeless style, guys. This thing is gorgeous. Look at it. It's just well balanced. It's very symmetrical. And even the color play is really quite nice. And you can even, I could easily see this thing just, you could rock this every day. And it has kind of some familiar feature sets and styling cues, but it's not a full-on homage. It's nowhere near that. If anything, it's a formal homage in that it actually pays homage to you know, really cool divers from yesteryear. Not necessarily in a retro fashion, but you know, it understands those dimensions. It understands those just playful numbers and in terms of the width and the diameters and the different size dial versus the bezel, the dial to bezel ratio, the indice to hand ratio. This thing is just, in terms of you know, pure aesthetics, and I'm very impressed by the actual quality of the piece, but when it comes to just how it looks, this is an awesome looking watch. So really great from that standpoint. I will go ahead, you know, get it off the wrist and get it back on the table for some Lume shots, low light transition, and closing thoughts. All right, we'll go ahead and hit the lights here. Oh, wow. As you can see, this thing burns. Wow. Fully loomed. I forgot. Sorry. It is it's a prototype that I haven't spent, you know, too much time with, because I don't want to mess up a gorgeous prototype. So I just kind of wear it around the house, get a look, set it, you know, kind of play with it a bit. But my goodness, this Lume is outstanding. Really well applied, and you can see it's very useful in terms of the indexing all the way around. And then you got the 12 o'clock. It's this great reference point, very easily with the twin baton. And then opposite of that, you actually do have a loomed window frame for the date window. So very cool. But some things I like to do when I get into these Lume shots is working some low light transition, because you're not always going to be out in the middle of a field enjoying direct sunlight. Whew, look at that light play. A lot of the times you're going to be coming in and out of buildings, walking underneath overhangs, or just spending time in your favorite automobile. So it is nice to see how these watches render under less than optimal lighting, sometimes even some extra harsh lighting, where typically you'd be able to expose any type of factory defect. But you can see here the light is just gliding beautifully off of this brushing, and then that dial, look at the play on this dial. It just transitions. Sometimes it goes very dark, sometimes it gets back to light, back to normal, and then look at that. Just wow, man, I dig that. This is just a great looking timepiece. Honestly, hurry up, Tusenö, and release this thing for production, because I'm looking forward to it. That's how excited it makes me. I am really just, I'm not interested in waiting for it anymore. I just want it to actually be out there, because it's, man, this thing's cool. I'm very, very pleasantly surprised with this piece, honestly. I do have my fair share of prototypes that come through here, but this is a really nice one. Like, if this had one of those dials that said made in Germany on it, or Swiss made, or even made in Japan, you'd be paying a lot more for something finished to this level. So yeah, I mean, this thing's really sweet. Closing thoughts, guys, on the wrist, very classic proportions, but with distinctly modern touches that are perfectly balanced and blended to create something truly unique. You have really nice case contours that taper both the visual and the physical weight down. Excuse me. So it helps the watch wear thinner visually, and then also physically feel thinner on wrist. In terms of model variants, there's the black, and then there's the blue, and then you have options for date or without date. And I think this would actually be my pick, just because you know, I'm a stickler, and sometimes the lack of a no date movement, true no date movement, where there's not going to be ghost positions or anything, can not be super appetizing. But honestly, it's the freedom of being super picky, because we're just spoiled for options in this market. Yeah, this is a cool one. I mean, if you think this thing looks nice, like if you can reconcile the way it looks, and say that looks like a cool watch, I'd love to kind of get some time with it. You're gonna love it. You're gonna be very, very impressed in terms of the fit and finish. But I will say that I'm a little delirious. I'm filming this pretty late. I know it says it's only 10 something on there, but I will say that, man, I kind of lost my train of thought on that one. But this thing's gorgeous, guys. Bottom line, for me, it has so much wow factor. It's a really great all-around gorgeous piece, and it's not just like a great dive watch, it's a really versatile sports watch in general. Very wearable, especially with these tones of blue, even when it's more sedate at this particular angle versus you guys saw once the light starts playing on this thing, it really goes up a couple notches. It's hard for me to think that people wouldn't like this, just because it definitely seems like it was made to please the general crowds and kind of play into the nitpicks, you know, within the space currently. So yeah, I'm digging this thing a whole lot. Again, very classic, with some touches of modern really mixed into there. And yeah, it's a sweet one. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you like the video, please do a like, and if you haven't already, please do subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.